Oh boy. Episode 51. Let's have some fun. It's Monday, and you're watching Evening Hour Live. Oh boy, let's go. Oh my. Okay. And I am live. Cheers! Happy Monday! Come on in. It's nice and loud tonight. Move this here. And vinyl. There we go. What's up, everybody? We got William, Corey, Sean, Ashworth, Elizabeth, Sharky. What's up, everybody? Greetings. It's Monday. I gotta be honest. Monday's my favorite day of the week. I always say it. People think I'm nuts. It's the day of the week where it all gets going. I don't know what the hell they're doing upstairs, but sounds like they're wrestling. There are house sitters upstairs watching upstairs. It sounds crazy. Well, let me know if you can hear and see me. We got a fun show tonight. Simple. It was almost going to be a wild card episode, but I have some stuff to talk about. Yeah, we got a bunch of people in the house already. If you are new, folks, I'm only 10 away from hitting 700 followers. Which means I'm getting close to the 1,000 mark. It's getting there. It's creeping. Not easy. So if you're new, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notify. I always have to say this. I know it's annoying. Any show you watch, they're constantly harping on the subscribe because it's hard to get subscribers. The other thing is that stupid little notify bell. If you don't hit that bell, I can get shadow banned and you'll never know I have anything out. Seriously. Technically, when you're below 1,000, you're kind of shadow banned. You're already in the shadow. Once you get to 1,000, they kind of open up the algorithm. And then if they don't like you politically or something, they can literally go boop and hit the shadow ban button. It is not a conspiracy. It is real. Mama's in the house. I love that my mom comes on in here and watches the shows. Mom, how are you? Cheers. Tonight, I'm drinking one of my favorite drinks. I don't make it all the time, but by God, it smells good. I take raw ginger and I shave it really thin. Maybe 8 pieces. 8, little round pieces. I then take a half of a lemon. Sometimes I'll put a whole lemon. It depends. And I'll squeeze it. I'll take a knife, cut the pulp, throw it in. And then I'll put 3 big spoons of honey. And then add hot water. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Amazing drink. I think, William, you dig the green tea. I like green tea. But it's gotta be the really good one. Because the Lipton green tea, when you make it, it looks brown sometimes. It's not a bright green. The ones that are bright green, I actually like. They taste different. I don't know if it's a different tea or a better quality. I don't know how green tea works. God, that's delicious. What was I gonna say? NYC, we are getting close to spring. It's basically 60 degrees and warmer every day now. Let me see what the weather is this week. I'm curious. Oh, you do the Bigelow. I have to try that one. The Lipton green tea, I'm not that into. All right, tomorrow's 63 degrees and sunny. Wednesday, 61. Thursday, oh, dude. Saturday's rain. All right, we got 60-degree weather all week. I love it. Sun makes me happy. It really affects me. When it's dark and gray. You're going to make tea. There you go. Yeah, it's a warm drink night. Yeah, I don't like gray skies. I need sun. I get vitamin D deficient like that. In the summer, I'm outside all the time. I try my best to never put on shoes or pants or a shirt all summer. I mean, I'll wear a shirt, but I prefer no shoes. The last time I got to live without shoes for any length of time was the last time I was in Puerto Rico. I didn't put on shoes for a week or so. When I was in Nicaragua 4 years ago, I didn't put shoes or a shirt or change my shorts or shower for 10 full days. Nothing. I didn't have to. I surfed 9 hours a day. And I was in the ocean all day. And I would get up early, go to bed early. It was beautiful. So I'm getting ready for that kind of lifestyle. I've had, the winter's been taxing. Being home a lot more because of our weird situation added to that. And yeah, summer's going to be here, which I am excited. If anybody's interested, I run an amazing Airbnb. It's amazing because of the location, and it comes with a really great concierge. Yes, I'm a concierge here. I basically, whoever shows up and stays gets the full treatment. I show them around town. There's amazing food here. The beach is literally right there. The bay is literally right there. It's amazing. So if anybody ever wants a cool, cheap vacation, Rockaway Beach. You can take this ferry to Manhattan. You can take the subway to Manhattan. And the airport's right here. It's all like kind of close. This week, I believe on Wednesday, I'm going to have a really interesting episode. I've talked about it before. Whoa, 80. Damn. Detroit's going to hit 80 tomorrow? That's amazing. That means here, let me see here, next week. That means we might be getting the heat across. No. Not yet. It says 55 next week. I like the 60s and 70s more. Actually, my favorite temp would be like 80 on the button. Straight up, 80 degrees. I would love that. If this feed ever goes down, I always have to mention this, and you're watching, go to, first let it sit for 5 minutes and try it again. If not, Instagram, Cardone Magic. If you're new to the channel, I recommend follow me on Instagram. I supplement this channel with my Instagram. Oh, cool, Fallon, welcome. Glad you're here. I'm just getting started. I was going to say on Wednesday that, oh, Ashworth, your poster goes out. I got the tubes in stock. So you will be getting a poster in the next week. Mama says in D.C., it's 75 degrees. Yeah, it's usually a little warmer in D.C. than New York City, yeah. Oh, you're born in the summer. Yeah, dude, I'm all about the summer. I used to be a wannabe summer hater. Seriously. I was like, oh, I hate the summer. I like cold weather. And then I realized I was crazy. I realized the summer was better for my arthritis. I realized my happiness factor was always more in the summer. I actually spend less money in the summer. I don't need to do anything. I just walk that way, and I'm on the beach, and I get to surf. I'll surf on bad wave days in the summer. In the winter, it's a little bit, it's putting the wetsuit on is a pain in the butt. I got to be honest. I don't like wearing 5mm wetsuits. They suck. I've pulled more muscles putting on a wetsuit than I have surfing. I've gotten hurt more surfing, but yeah. Ah, Amanda, good evening. Come on in. So this Wednesday, I'm going to do a episode that probably is going to seem a little weird. It's something about me people don't know unless you're close to me, maybe. But I like squishies. A lot. This is a good one. This is one of the fancy squishies. I'll do a close-up so you know what I'm talking about. Yes, it's a foam rubber cupcake. Squishies come in all shapes and sizes. This is a foam rubber cupcake. There's different qualities about these things. I would say the people that like squishies are people that collect things, like me, and they like things that have a tactile feeling in their hands, like a fidget toy of sorts. And I have a collection. It's not massive, but I have a collection, and I'm going to whip it out and show you. I also ordered some new ones that you're going to get to see me open on the show live. Oh, some of them smell really good, some don't. We're going to talk about that. So, if you have any, if any of you out there have kids, most likely little girls, they like squishies. If you go to YouTube and you look up squishy review, it's all like 15-year-old girls, maybe 20-year-old girls. I don't think I've ever seen a guy review a squishy, which is weird. I don't know why. What makes a fancy squishy? Oh, they are fancy ones? You got to tune in on Wednesday. This is this squishy is about an $8 one, and this one was in the dollar store. We'll talk about this. They actually feel very different. Oh. Yeah. I don't want to spoil the fun. Yeah, we don't have smell vision yet. That is definitely, I hear, in the works. I've heard they're working on some virtual things to add to this experience, where the sound will be a little better, the visual will be better. Right now, I forget what the bitrate is for live streaming. It's not the best. If I were to record on my new camera and upload it, not a live show, my God, it would look crazy. It would be broadcast quality. This camera is amazing, thanks to my donors. Oh, speaking of that, I get offline donors, and I always want to give them shout-outs. Somebody by the name of Low Key. Yeah, they just sent me a message. Says, enjoying much of the content. Figured time to give a little back. Thank you, Low Key. Whoever you are, it goes right in the show. You're one of the... You hooked me up. Thank you. So if anybody donates, as you know, it goes in the show. I'm not making bread yet on this. I do want to make bread. I'm not going to lie. I perform full-time for a living. And this right here, what I'm doing, could take a while to develop it. I remember when COVID started, I was like, oh, I wish I started my YouTube channel 2 years ago. I did. I've always wanted to do it, but I knew why. I now know why I never started it. I knew that it was going to be all-consuming. It was going to take up a big chunk of my brain. It was going to remove me even more away from the world of people, which is okay. And I avoided it. I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and it was going to be, all-consuming. I didn't have the gear. I knew I was going to need not a lot of equipment, but I at least need a computer. And I'm not kidding. I didn't turn on a laptop or a mainframe. I don't know what you call these things. Mainframe? I don't know what the jargon is. I have a big PC box that's got a piece of glass, and my son built the computer from nothing. I mean, he literally just put all the coolants and the parts and the fans and right. So for a good solid 4 years, did not turn on a laptop or any kind of computer. Everything I did was on my phone. If you see any video that I've ever edited, like a canned video, I did it on my phone. Photo edits, video edits, writing, everything in my phone. I've now transitioned a bit more to the computer, and I didn't have one, so I did have to build one. So here I am. Thank you, donors. Let's get into the show. Title tonight, I gave it a fun title for a reason. Boom. Rambo and the Stoic Life. And what does that mean? Well, let's talk about it. I'm wondering if we have any Rambo fans. The first part of this is I'm going to talk about some Rambo movie stuff. I'm a huge fan. Yes, as you can see. Got this gentleman right here. I'm a huge fan of the film series. I'm going to give it a quick review, film by film. Quick. I'm not going to spend too long. Well, we'll spend a little time because there's some neat stuff in them. But I want to talk about something I discovered by watching Rambo 4 recently. Ah, interesting. Fallon brings up something. We were talking about smell aroma. What do they call it? Smellorama. I remember. Okay, so Fallon says, can you reduce smells like colors from a few basic components for reproduction remotely? Otherwise, back to scratch and sniff books. They can. That's how I saw a thing on how they do perfumes. What's that perfume company called? Artemis? Arteme? Somebody will know. Is it Artemis? Oh, no, I've had this. Yeah. I do order little things for shows. Yes, I do. But this I've had. I got it for free at a video store. I was like, they were giving it away. I was like, oh my God, I'll definitely take that. I used to have a RoboCop stand-up, a big one, but I got lost in the shuffle. So they can formulate smells. I don't know if they can do it digitally and recreate it that way. Maybe they can. But scratch and sniff, I remember for a minute, Fox TV, late 80s, early 90s, would do a 3D. They did a 3D Married with Children episode. It didn't work so well, but it did have a scratch and sniff episode. And it came with a card, and during certain parts of the show, you would scratch it and smell. I have it somewhere. That would be so cool. But back to Rambo. So the first Rambo movie is just called First Blood. Came out in 1982. It stars Sylvester Stallone, Krenna, who plays Troutman. And the story came from a book by Morell. Is that his name? Hold on. I didn't write notes for this because I talk about it so much. Let me look up First Blood. Hold on. First Blood. First Blood was written... film? It was written in the 70s, and one of the major studios bought the script, and it didn't get made. I think they thought the subject matter was too much, which we'll talk about. Let's see. Who wrote for... Oh, yeah, David Morell. He wrote the book. So it got passed around a bit. No one wanted to make the movie because it's about a crazy Vietnam vet who's unhinged, who's triggered. They were just like, whoa. And don't forget, Vietnam had just ended. And now they're going to make a movie from this book about this Vietnam vet who goes not only unhinged, but he dies at the end. It's a brutal story. So no one wanted it. Eventually the film got picked up by, I think, an independent company. They got a big star. They knew it was going to make money. I think Stallone had just made Rocky 3, which put him, dude, Rocky 1 came out in the early 70s, but 2 and 3 and 4 made a lot of money. So he was a megastar at this point. And Kirk Douglas was scheduled to play the part of Troutman, the colonel that shows up. And the script ends with Rambo dying. He actually kills himself by taking the other guy's gun at the end of the movie and hitting the trigger and getting shot. And Kirk Douglas thought that was the way it should end. It's how the book ends, and it really sets the tone. Like, it's this crazy, it's an amazing story about a guy who's come home from the war. He's just traveling. He's kind of a backpacker. He seems very peaceful and calm. And yeah, William, they're heavy hitting. They're very, I'm sure if he was a Vietnam combat vet, that's a triggering film. But I think it's an important story. You know, it's about the soldiers coming home and the country hated them and they lost the war. They didn't really win the war. And so it was just a mess. And this guy, it's very interesting that the plot is about police abuse. I'm one of those guys. I actually think the police problem's more of a totalitarian problem that racists are attracted to. Okay, I don't think it's a racist. I'm not going to get into it. But to me, the cop thing is about a tonality of how they position themselves. Just like when a cop says, stand here. You can be like, no, I don't have to. Right? I'm one of those guys. Like, I push it. People got used to just obeying orders even though they don't have to. So that film is what it's about. The cop's like, we don't want you in town. And he's like, all right, I'm just walking. They eventually arrest him. They start to abuse him. Ba-boom, he snaps. And in the beginning of the film, you realize, well, in the middle, that he's a super soldier. He's not just a combat vet. He's like, he's won the Congressional Medal of Honor for bravery, and I don't know. I'll tell you his record. So the film ends. They decided to end it without him dying. Kirk Douglas quit. John Crenna jumped on board. Lucky for Crenna, it became his signature part, playing Colonel Troutman. And he is in 3 Rambo movies. So the first movie is an action movie. It takes place in the Northwest, and it's a Vietnam vet with a great record against the cops. And then the National Guard shows up eventually. So it's a good movie. It's a great action movie. I mean, really, if you haven't seen it, if anybody's watching it, exactly, Bill Yon. If you don't exercise your rights, you lose them. People roll over belly up like that, and I'm not one of them. So I ask a billion questions, especially when authority's involved. As we all know, authority corrupts like that. Just ask the Tuskegee experiment people, which I'm shocked people don't know about. I'll bet half the people watching never even heard of it. Look up Tuskegee syphilis experiment by the CDC. Okay? You'll be shocked. Anyway, it's not a conspiracy. Bill Clinton had to go on TV and apologize for it. All right? So, anyway, the second Rambo movie. So at the end of the film, he doesn't die. And why? Because they knew if it's good, they can make a sequel. Right? He gets arrested at the end. So it ends with him going to jail. It's kind of sad. This awesome Vietnam vet is now going to go to prison. So Rambo 2. Rambo 2, now the character's famous, Stallone's famous, and the plot is amazing. It starts off with them showing up to prison to get him out because they have a mission. They want him to take photos of maybe possible POW camps. Well, you know, you can guess what happens. He ends up fighting, and he's back in Nam with his equipment, his guns, his knives, the thing, right? So Rambo 2 is a big splashy 80s action film. I love it. I think it's cool. Rambo 3, I couldn't stand. Oh, and mind you, Rambo 1 and 2, he has really good monologues about what he wants. He's like, he just wants his country to love him as much as he loves the United States. It's a pretty patriotic message. Pretty, you know, meat and potatoes American message, right? Which is funny that had to be said. You know, it's just sad. You know, these guys came home from the war and the whole thing was dirty. And you feel bad for the guys that had to go. They drafted. It wasn't like a volunteer thing, you know. They were like, no, you got to go. It's like, wait, for that war? Whoa, this is weird, right? So the tone of the whole thing is kind of sad, right? The second Rambo movie gives it a happy ending of sorts because there's POWs and left over. The third one got super silly. And mind you, the theme of the second one is not that he's in Vietnam fighting the Vietnamese. He's actually fighting against the Russians because they're there doing business. Fast forward to Rambo 3. Rambo is fighting the Russians with his buddies, the Taliban. That's right, the Taliban. They're the good guys. And the reason they're the good guys is, well, we used to help them. And then we didn't. Yeah, we have a history of doing things like that, which is why a lot of places don't like us. But yeah, the movie's just too much boom, boom, explosion, horses fighting tanks. It's just, I didn't like it. Even when it came out, I was like, God, that was a little silly. It didn't do as well as the second one, And Stallone was starting to lose some steam with the character. Done. Never to be seen again, the character. Fast forward to 2005, I believe. This movie, Rambo 4. And it was actually just called Rambo. In other countries, they called the movie John Rambo, which I think is a better title. It matches the movie Rocky Balboa, which is Rocky 6. Stallone directed Rocky 6. It got good reviews. I liked it. I actually thought Rocky 6 was cool. Well, right. Sort of. Yes. Yes. Correct. Bill says, yeah, they weren't technically the Taliban yet. The Mujahideen. They had a different name. Rambo 4, I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. That's my favorite Rambo movie, by far. I went and saw it with a friend, and when we left the theater, our jaws were on the floor. Battle Buddy, if you're watching. We were like, what? I mean, good story, great little plot line, a good point to be made. The action is outrageous and realistic and brutal. And the guy that wrote the book, David Morrell, he didn't like the first 3 Rambo movies. He thought they were missing the tonality that his book had. And when this came out, he was like, that's the tonality. So if you haven't seen Rambo 4 and you're watching this video now or in the chat, go look at it. I'll give you a premise. The film actually starts off with footage that's real and documentary style that is kind of gross and brutal, but it's about the conflict in Myanmar, aka Burma. It's technically, it is the best one, Eric. You're right, it is. The story is, Burma has been in a civil war for I don't know how many years. It's the world's longest running civil war. And it's kind of like, yes, that's it, Bill. It has a little bit of a Jesus plot, which I usually shy away from, but there's something subtle in the film that I noticed, and I'm going to bring it up, and that's the Stoic part, which he says something in the film that for some reason, it didn't register in my brain every time I saw it. But recently I noticed, yeah. So the tagline of the film, I have a really cool Rambo shirt here on the hand cam. That's the tagline of the film. Live for nothing. Oh, here. Seneca's hanging out. Live for nothing or die for something. That's the tagline. The back of this shirt, look at the back of this shirt. It's got his record. Yeah, it's got his record, which here I'll read it now because I can't read upside down. John Rambo, born in 1947. Bowie, Arizona is where he's from. Joined the Army in 1964. Special Forces, light weapons. Cross-trained as a medic. Helicopter and language qualified. So he speaks Vietnamese. He can fly a chopper. 59 confirmed kills. 2 Silver Stars. 4 bronze medals, 4 Purple Hearts, and a Congressional Medal of Honor. And I do believe in Rambo 2, they say that he's going to get the Congressional Medal of Honor for that one, and I think he refuses it in the storyline. So, but the story, very simple. Rambo basically gives his middle finger to the U.S. and the rest of the world, and he takes a job as a snake catcher in Thailand for a snake show. There's like a little snake performing, when they charm the cobra, kind of like they do in the alligator show where the guy puts his head in the alligator, right? So Stallone's the guy that goes out in the woods and finds cobras, and they show him bow fishing because he's an archer, and you see him giving the monk, a Buddhist monk, fish, and he seems happy, not happy, but just content he's doing his thing. And Christian missionaries show up, and he's in Thailand, and they're like, hey, can you take us up the river? We hear you have a boat, you know how to get up and down the river. And he's like, I think his opening line is F off. That's the first thing he says. And then they eventually like, look, man, we really need your help. And he's like, look, why are you going there? And they're like, well, we go up and we bring the medical supplies, the villagers that are getting hammered by these warlords, and we give them medical supplies, and then we preach the gospel. And he's like, do you have weapons? And they're like, no. And he goes, well, you're not going to change anything. Why are you bothering? Well, they finally convince him to go. And you can guess, all hell breaks loose. It is brutal. It is a ballet of violence. It's the first time I'd seen, and I just trying to think of how many films actually show children getting killed. They show little kids getting speared, shot, burned alive. A lot, right? It's shocking. It's well directed, and it's directed by Stallone. He directed this film. He's a pretty good director, I gotta say. It's simple stuff, but it's just the timing is good. He's got good timing with stuff. And the film has a great arc, the way it builds. There's a really shocking thing that happens kind of a little bit in the beginning to middle. There's a middle sequence that's jaw-dropping, and the grand finale is grand. The final battle scene is one of the greatest war shooting things I've ever seen in film. That's why I watched the movie a lot. I have a couple complaints. I think some of the blood, you can tell it's a little bit CG. Now, I get it. In the old days, in the 80s, if you had too much blood in a scene, they literally had to shorten the scene. They just cut it short. If you watch Friday the 13th, Part 1, the English version and the American version, every single kill scene is longer. Because the rating's like, too much blood. Oh, so they got to cut it, right? As soon as they figured out they can make CG blood, easy. They can just erase it. They can just tone it back with a computer. So, but the film, I think the film has a really good message, and I'll tell you what it is now. Rambo 5, I'm going to talk about too. Well, let's skip to Rambo 5, and then I'm going to go back to 4. Rambo 5 has a scene, or is about, he's back in America. He lives on a farm in Arizona. He has like an adopted daughter. It was his friend's daughter. She's Mexican. The character Rambo is supposed to be half Native American. They mention it in the story. And Stallone can pass for a little native. He's got the cheekbones, you know. He's got. So he plays this kind of like he's just tired and retired, and he's at home and he's doing his thing, and the girl gets involved with the Mexican drug cartel. There's a side plot for that, and the Rambo 5. I liked it. I found it enjoyable and fun. I found its tone not as serious as Rambo 4. And my description, Rambo 5 is like Breaking Bad meets Jason Voorhees. Yeah. The kills are outrageous. Jason Voorhees style. Amputations, heads getting cut off, heads getting blown up, nails in the face. I mean, really nasty stuff. If you like horror films and Jason movies, you're going to love it. It's a revenge Jason movie starring an old Rambo. Pretty cool. Is it a great film? No, it's not. This, I think, is a great film. I do. And I'm going to go back to this. So Rambo 5, watch it. If you want to have a fun night and hoot and holler and yell at the screen, it's good. It got politicized. People said it was a very Trump movie, which is stupid to say. I saw one review. It was like Reagan-era filmmaking is now Trump-era film. It was weird because it has a Mexican drug cartel and he's fighting them, kind of a plot, I'm assuming. But there's lots of really cool Mexican characters in the story. There's a neat side plot. I like the movie. Rambo 4 has a point. Stallone said it. Oh, he didn't also direct 5. He directed 4. He was trying to draw attention to the problem in Burma. And not only that, he cast to play the head bad guy an actual freedom fighter from Burma. He thought it was kind of a good idea. It gave it a connection of sorts. They banned the film in Burma, Myanmar, I should call it, because that's what it's called now. And from what I heard, it actually brought attention to the problem. And I just saw the name Myanmar in the news the other day. They are still having problems. They're having refugees leave. I heard the cops are leaving because they're being ordered to do things they don't want to do. So they're like, I ain't shooting people. So I'm out. So it's a mess. You know, people complain about problems here. And whoo, there's literally countries that have warlords running them kind of like 500 years ago. And they're alive and well right now. Very hard to believe. And unless there's money to be made there, we don't usually help out. If there's money to be made, oh yeah, we're there. Anybody ever look up why we go to Syria and stir it up over there? Oil pipeline? Look it up. Look up Syria oil pipeline, Saudi, Russia. You'll see the whole story. Something you don't see them talk about on the news. They're not allowed to. Yeah. We're trying to get Europe to use the oil we want them to use, not the Russian oil. And Syria has the pipeline running through it. Yeah, if you look at the real stuff, you can clearly see what's going on here. So, oh yes, there it is. Massive protests in Myanmar, yeah. Well, there's a scene in Rambo 4. Remember I said there's a little bit of a Jesus plot? I'm not a fan of Jesus plots, where people somehow find faith and then they have an awakening, and because it's kind of like saying that works. And I will say, I got a really interesting story I'm going to say after this. Let me write this down. I was watching a gangster talk about this. I'm going to write. I don't want to forget this. Francis. The gangster Michael Francis of the Colombo crime family has something. He's kind of a religious guy now. I'm gonna tell a story about him. So Rambo, who's basically like, screw everybody, don't bother me. He takes them up. They get kidnapped, the missionaries, and the preacher from their church in America shows up and goes, "Hey, I heard you took them upriver. I have a group of mercenaries that the church hired." So it's funny, the church hired mercenaries. They're like, "Can you please take them to the same spot?" Well, the whole movie, oh, you got to see this. Hold on. Don't move. The whole movie, you see Rambo with a piece of metal hammering it, and he's actually making this very knife. Out of all the Rambo movies, this is my favorite one, Rambo 4. Okay, this could take an arm off. So we'll talk about this too in a second. So he's making this knife. The missionaries are kidnapped. The preacher's asking him for help. And one of the missionaries gives Rambo this little wooden cross. And there's a scene where he's kind of like, you see him meditating upon it. And then there's a dream sequence, a montage. And the montage is a flashback of the series. And it's like a crazy violent dream that Rambo's having. And in the dream, they actually show a second of the scene that was cut from Rambo 1 where he kills himself. You see it. You see him go. You see him reach and go, and like he hits the trigger of the guy's gun and it shoots him. It's only 1 second. And then he wakes up and the preacher's there, and right? So he has a monologue while the dream's going on where he's basically like admits, and this is where I was like, wow, I never really... He admits that he didn't do all of the things that he had done for his country. He did it for himself. He goes through this little monologue about like, he just killed and maimed and blew people up, and he was literally a monstrous killing machine, and he did it for himself. He admits it. He's like, you are this killing machine. This is what you do. You're a master at this. And it's time to do it again, you know? And it's him kind of accepting his fate of this is who I am. That little cross ain't going to change me. That cross isn't necessarily going to change the problem in Burma, which I thought was interesting because I do think Stallone's an actual Catholic. Maybe he lost his vibe on it, but whatever. I mean, I'm listening to this. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I don't know if anybody notices this, but it's kind of like the grand finale of Breaking Bad. He admits why he did it. It wasn't for his family. Even though that's the original, it's all his own ego. And it starts to spin. So Stallone's character's like, this is who I am. There's no way around it. So he helps. He shows up. Now the idea, so the guy that makes all the Rambo knives, if you're a knife freak, his name's Gil Hibben. And if you get a real Gil Hibben knife, you're going to pay a lot of money. So whenever Gil Hibben designs a knife, all the junky knife makers make a version of it. You can get the Rambo 1 knife, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, Rambo 4, Rambo 5. They always sell them. They are anywhere from $20 to $1,000 depending on which version you get. The Rambo 2 knife and 3, or 1, 2, and 3, or no, I'm sorry. Rambo 1 and 2 had the classic 80s combat knife that had the hollow handle, that had matches, a compass. In the movie, he uses it. When I was a little boy, I wanted that so bad, and I finally had one. I don't have it anymore. They're junk knives. The blade is mounted on a metal. The tang doesn't really go through all the way, so they break. I think if you bought the fancy Gil Hibben knife, yes, that one's made well. This is made out of a piece of a car spring. It's very heavy. And it's one piece of metal, so this ain't breaking. I've sharpened this. It's very sharp. It's almost shaveable. Almost. I wanted it to have an edge that lasted a little longer than a razor edge. Fishing line. It did. Pataki showed up. What's up, brother? It did. It had a little bundle of fishing line. Did you have one, Pataki? I had one. I used to run around the woods with it. I'm sure you did. We're like basically the same age. Rat tail tang. Yeah, they break. Yeah, the one that goes in. I don't like it. Now, this is, full tang is where it's at. This was not a great knife, but let me tell you what. If you sharpen this correctly, it's great. This is a cool little mini machete, but as a fighting weapon, wow, this is not bad. It's light. It's not too heavy. And if I swung this at someone's arm, I might take their arm off. I'm not kidding. This thing weighs a lot. It has it's got a really strong weight to it. I love the design. I love the way it looks. It's got that Tanto sort of blade look with a very light curve. I'm a fan. Actually, the lanyard would be like that. So if you miss, you don't lose it. And it did come with a leather sheath that I had to heavily treat. Your neighbor kid had it. I had one. I had a junk one. It broke after a few years. I need to treat this again. It's a really strong leather. And when I first got it, I thought it was too dry and it would crumble. So I heavily treated it. And now it's okay. I'm going to treat it again. But yeah, Rambo 4 knives. So what does it mean for John Rambo to live according to his nature? It's something I've been thinking about a lot in the last year. It's something I noticed very young, that I was lucky. I kind of knew at an early age what my nature was and what I liked and what I didn't like. I was very opinionated at a very young age. I just knew what I liked. If I liked something, it was like, I like that I don't like. To like something means to discriminate against other things. And people aren't taught to discriminate anymore. Actually, the word discrimination's a bad word now. As soon as you say it, it has a racial context. I always discriminated against music and films that I didn't like, but I made sure I could explain why, or at least I had an opinion of why. It wasn't just for no reason. And so at an early age, I knew what my nature was. And I remember reading, I believe it's in The Devil's Notebook, Anton LaVey wrote, I could never squash a spider, but I could easily kill a person. A spider is literally living his best life, doing the best he can. People aren't like that. And I remember reading that like, wow, okay, I get it. Animals don't have to find their nature. They are the nature. They're in it. They're rolling with it. Animals don't sit around and do nothing. And if you see an animal doing nothing, oh, he's busy. He might look like he's just chilling, but he's probably busy. Animals are either looking for food, running away from something trying to kill them, or trying to mate, or looking for shelter. Very rarely do monkeys or anything just sit and stare at the tree. They're busy. They have things to do. And if they don't do it, they die. So for them to live according to their nature, it is what it is. Humans, as soon as they could sit around and think, yes, our brains got bigger, but how many people have no idea what their nature is, what they're supposed to be doing? They wake up and they're like, what am I supposed to be doing today? So that's living according to your nature, is find what you're supposed to be doing, what comes naturally, what feels right, what's a way of making a living that feels like you are supposed to be doing it, and go for it and stick to it and have a code of ethics that helps you stay according to your nature. You'll know when you get it. You'll be like, wow, this is it. But then you need some sort of virtue to keep on your game, because you will slide. I remember, this is one of the greatest quotes I ever heard about an alcoholic's dilemma. It was the greatest way to describe it, because a lot of people don't understand what that is if someone's got an alcoholism thing. Not a drinking problem, alcoholism. Major difference. Drinking problem means you're drinking too much, but when it's time to quit, you're like, okay, it's hard. Alcoholics, it's a brain loop. You're lying to you're fooling yourself constantly. And it's not easy to fix. So Ace Frehley, the Kiss guitar player, said, try using willpower when you have diarrhea. Wow. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that's a good analogy. Like, yeah, willpower works for a little bit, but then you crack. And for me, that's what living to your nature and having good virtue is you're going to get off course eventually. Oh, it will happen. So you need a toolbox to make sure you can get back in. So for like sober people that don't drink or go to rehab meetings, that's what that is. That's their toolbox. They need to, when they're feeling weak on the willpower, they at least have a friends group to help them. Like, hey, let's hang out with my friends who don't drink, maybe. You know what I mean? So living according to your nature, yeah, of course you're going to not be perfect. We're people. We're not perfect. So therefore, you need to have a toolbox. My virtue toolboxes are people and things. And, even this, my little Seneca. When I wake up in the morning and I ain't feeling so good, I'll look at this guy's face. This is new. I just got this. And I'll look at it and I'll remember who he was, what he did, how he suffered at his end, and how he did it willingly. And then I'll read. I'll go right into the read. I read an essay recently, a letter, one of the Seneca letters, where he talked about people who passively study philosophy might as well not even bother. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I didn't know. Okay. I'm going to look that quote up. Watership Down. I haven't read that in a long time. I read that when I was really young. I need to revisit that one. I remember it being very good. So the essay that Seneca wrote was basically, look, if you passively study philosophy, you're never going to get over the hump. And according to Seneca, there's kind of a hump to get over. You're learning, you're having a breakthrough, your mind has a breakthrough. You start to have a routine. You feel like you're living according to your nature. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're waking up and you've got a schedule to follow. You're not just loosely, just willy-nilly doing what you want, how you want. A lot of people live like that. I used to live like that. And thought I was happy with that, but then I realized the problem with that is you end up doing loops and repeating past mistakes. You get into a loop and whoop, right back into the old mistakes. When you have a good circle of friends that are good role models and they are also living according to their nature, when you have a system built in your day to lock you in, that's why the whole make your bed every day thing is real. It's the first action of the day where you're doing something to take care of some business. It's like TCB right there. It's also why I do Polar Bear Club on New Year's Day. It's a symbol to myself. I mean, I hate jumping in cold water. I don't like it. But it's a symbol that I want to start the year by doing something uncomfortable and out of my normal day. Something that's a little painful, not fun, and it's mind over matter on day one of the new year. Symbolically, it sets the tone. I also write a goal list and all that kind of stuff too. And those are the things that keep you on your track. And then I've added to my day now, I wake up, I get business done that I have to do, like if I have to do emails or whatnot, or if I have a show that day or something. But then I get right in. I start reading. Usually I'll read for a good hour, and then I'll take notes. I take notes in the book, like in the, on the edges. And I also write on, white. I'm always writing on paper. And sometimes I'll write a Seneca quote or another philosopher's quote. Sometimes I'll just write something that it makes me think of. But by writing it, it does something. It changes it. It makes it real. It makes me address it in more detail. And so those little steps throughout the day are what lock it in, and it gives me something to fall on when I feel loose. If I feel like a couple weeks ago, I literally felt kind of uninspired. I did. I had this weird, I just didn't want to. I felt a little burned out on, not my life, but, look around me. I have a lot of junk here. I use junk in a fun word. I love this stuff that you see in my space. And I have a lot here, and I've been moving it around as I move. As I've moved around, I've been carting a lot of this junk around, and yeah, it's not easy. The book Art of War? The War of Art or the Art of War? I don't know the War of Art. I want to know what that is. I love it. What is that? Is that the book, The War of Art? I don't think I know that one. I know The Art of War, Sun Tzu. I've read that many times. I remember the first time I had a copy of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I had like a little edition. Actually, my mom gave it to me, I think. Mama, I think you gave me a copy of Art of War in college? I don't know. My mom has good taste. She likes reading history too. We've always been fascinated, my family, with history. And we always talk about it. We go over stories. And recently I've been obsessed with Roman history because I want to know the context in which this genius was doing his thing. My God, he was He was the advisor for Caligula and Nero. Okay? Crazy. Hard to believe that you read this man's work and you're like, but here, check this out. Today, here's something. Again, I always say buy this book. Folks, this is an $8, $9 book on Amazon. Seneca's Letters. This is the thrift edition. The thrift edition is fine. It's really thick. It's 126 letters. Listen to this. Short little clip here. Oh, it's almost been an hour. Holy moly. So, mind you, these are letters he's writing to his pal, okay? Yeah, his buddy's name is Lucilius, and it says, your letter has given me pleasure and has roused me from sluggishness. It has also prompted my memory, which has been for some time slack and nerveless. I want to know what his letters were like. Lucilius's letters to Seneca. Anyhow, it says, you are right, of course, my dear Lucilius, in deeming the chief means of attaining the happy life to consist in the belief that only good lies in that which is honorable. For anyone who deems other things to be good puts himself in the power of fortune and goes under the control of another. But he who has in every case defined the good by the honorable is happy with inward happiness. That in a nutshell is what this whole book is about. But it gets detailed. He definitely gets into detail, as you can see in this thick book. I mean, it goes crazy. I'm curious about this War of Art. I have to look that up. You'll also read, if you read Marcus Aurelius, that guy also is talking about living according to your nature. Find out what you're supposed to be doing. How do you find it out? There's the hard part. I would say to the people that feel lost, why are you lost? What caused the loss? When do you think it started? Did it start when you were a child? You need to really break up you got to go in. It just doesn't come to you. It's like people that practice wrong. I literally teach magic, right? That's what I do. I teach magic to a lot of people. And when I'm teaching how to do coin tricks, even like this, a coin roll, okay? I'll watch people trying to practice, and they're doing the same mistake over and over. And they're just, It's never going to get better. You have to pay attention and adjust. You have to be like, all right, let me hold it with this way and put it there. All right, that doesn't work. I mean, what if I hold it a little farther? You have to activate your brain. If you're just repeating it, you're not going to get better. So what do? If you feel lost and without purpose, get out a notebook. Start writing some ideas down. That's how I do creative sessions. If I have to have a creative session, I force myself to sit in a chair, take out a Sharpie, and I write down all ideas, even the bad ones, even the ones that are stupid. Because out of the stupid ideas, you might unlock a really good one. So for a person looking for their true nature, you can figure it out. It might take a lot of work. The question is, are you willing to put that kind of work into fixing something that you don't actually think needs to be fixed? I'm from Pennsylvania. We cut the to be out. Anybody else do that? The grass needs mowed. My hair needs cut. People cut out to be. It's weird. Pennsylvania jargon. So that's my advice to somebody if you're watching this and you're like, I'm kind of lost and don't know what my purpose is. You can figure it out. I'm lucky. I figured mine out early. I had a family that had some variety taste. My father, he's mostly into sports, but he liked history and films, and he's a movie buff. And my mother, she's a theater person. When I was little, she was the tech person in all the theater productions in my hometown, and then she went off to learn how to be a professional stage manager, and she worked at the Kennedy Center as a stage manager. So she had the arts, and she introduced me to the arts, And her dad was an artist. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I'm going to take it off the wall. This is my great-granddad. This is one of his. Folks, look at this beautiful artwork. I don't know if it's going to focus, but this is pure, brilliant art. This is my great-granddad. My granddad was an artist. I grew up in this very art-friendly world, and my granddad, my mother's father, he introduced me to Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Godzilla, Elvis, jazz, radio dramas, and magic tricks. He's the guy that showed me that stuff. My other granddad made everything from scratch. Wood things and carpentry and art. And so I come from a family of makers. They make things with their hands. My mother's father was a terrazzo tile guy, right? So they all had purpose. They were busy. They had families and they had things they did. They had hobbies. They also made presents for people. They didn't buy something. You make it. If someone's having a birthday, you bring them food. You make them a present. I love Pennsylvania. I do. I really do. PA, PA's great. And so my family came, they're all Italians, and they shipped them to PA because it was work. Coal mines, railroad, farming stuff. And I come from a family of makers. So at an early age, I was exposed and encouraged to make things. Oh, also for music, my mother plays the piano, and my granddad played the guitar. He was always playing the guitar and singing. In Italian, in English, whatever. So I grew up in this world of that. People didn't sit around. I mean, they did sit around and watch a lot of TV when they got older, and I think it kind of messed them up. It dulled them a bit. Like they might have been healthier and lived a lot longer if they didn't have a television. I'm not a fan of TV anymore. I'm not a fan of news. I'm not a fan of... Oh, you got it. I got more grandpa art that's outstanding. My family in PA, they were low class to low middle class Italian families, right? When they came over on the boat. And my granddad, they were coming to New York to sell their art. I have catalogs with his art in it. So he was a real artist. And it's kind of cool. Yeah, creative dead ends are painful. I get them, Fallon. I do get them too. They happen. The best thing I've ever done for a creative dead end. All right, so I have a buddy who's a life coach. And years ago, he basically told me the secret of his business. It's weird. We don't have life coaches on the East Coast. It's kind of a West Coast thing. And sorry, I'm going to give up a secret right now, but I've been doing it my whole life. A lot of people don't do this. And then we're going to end on this note because I think it's a good one. If you're watching, please hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notify bell. Here's what he teaches. You have to schedule in your week your brainstorming sessions. Literally write next Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. notebook time. So that it's in your schedule next Tuesday, literally for an hour. You're going to have a meeting with yourself. But you gotta write it down. You can't just say, oh, next week I'm going to do it. That doesn't work. You have to take a pen, a marker, and write it. You have to take your phone and put it in a calendar. And then on Monday, just like if you were going to meet somebody, remind yourself, hey, tomorrow you're going to literally sit on your butt for an hour and just start writing crap. Whether it's good or bad, don't matter. You just do it. That's a really good way to start anybody having creative problems. Do it once a week and then increase it to 2 a week. I do it every day. At least an hour a day. And in that hour, I'm either going over magic stuff, music stuff, or content for this show, or something else I'm working on. I have a lot of projects like summer projects. I'm going to give a little hint at one of my summer projects. Out here at Rockaway Beach, we're going to have a 1980s style bikini contest. Men and women combined. No two categories, one category. Which means however you define a bikini, go right ahead. Come on in. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be wild. I think there's going to be some funny stuff. Of course there's going to be the sexy girl and guy in the bikini kind of thing. But it's good. There's going to be over-the-top fun stuff. And I think the prize is going to be really sick. A lot of money, maybe. Yeah. And so I'm going to run this event. I'm starting to work on it now. I'm starting to develop the theme and the poster. And it's a lot of work, folks. This is months away, and I'm already starting. And I have another thing I'm working on for August. The film An American Satan, which is not released in the U.S. I'm working on a screening. So we'll see. So my point is, I've always done that thing where I kind of sit and just get a notebook and start going. I love brainstorming sessions, especially so with my my cards that I kickstarted. Where are they? There we go. My satanic playing cards. That, and you guys met my partner, Stuart. We brainstorm all the time. At least once a week, we'll sit down and go over stuff and just start going nuts. And the secret to brainstorming is A, all ideas are good, even the bad ones. And B, if you're collaborating with somebody and they have an idea you don't like, tell them. Explain why. It shouldn't be just because you don't like it. You have to be able to explain it. Communication is the secret of all things. And people right now are not good communicators. They're not taught how to express their feelings. They're not taught how to explain something so that the other person can kind of get a glimpse of how they're seeing it. Right? That's how you convince somebody. You got to explain it so they can get in your shoes a bit. What's the Elvis song? Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Before you criticize and abuse, walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah. So if you're going to get somebody to understand your plight or your project or whatever it is, you got to be a good communicator. And I think it also applies to how you talk to yourself. We talk to ourselves. We have a subconscious. It's recording everything you do and say. And one of the things I learned from Stoicism is every single thing you do and say, all of your actions, good and crappy, all are recorded in your subconscious. That whole notion of God's watching you and is going to punish you, I never bought that as a child. I thought it was ridiculous. I do buy that you're watching yourself and you're going to punish yourself for your stupidity. So never sell yourself short because you're selling it to yourself. Bad. So all those dumb, cheap, bad decisions you made, or every time you cut a corner just to save some face, it's being recorded. And it will affect something. It'll affect your judgment on another thing or another project or another thing you're doing. So however you talk to yourself, do it with respect. And also the actions that you do, pretend like you're doing it to yourself, And that's why your notebooking is your best friend. Folks, I love doing these shows. If you're new, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notify. If we got donors in the house, cool. It all goes in the show. We get a lot of offline donors now, people that throw it in later because they're watching it later. I honestly... Oh, The War of Art by Stephen I got to look that up. I get a lot of donors, and it goes in the show. People that can't donate, it's fine. Yeah, people are broke right now. They are. People are having a hard time still. There ain't no miracle cure for what just happened. They literally closed planet Earth, and now they're reopening it slowly. There's a lot of damage that happened, and hopefully the damage, I actually predict in 2 years we're going to see the damage of what closing everything did. I think it's going to be pretty weird. Yeah, so, just pay attention to what's going on. Position yourself so that you can make the most logical, educated decision, and go with your gut, and don't cheat yourself. Folks, you've been hanging out with me now for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I always say this, I really appreciate my people watching the show. I got a smart group in here. We got Giuseppe, Fallon, Libra Liz, Bill Yon. I've known Bill Yon since, 7th grade? Something like that. Pataki's in the house. Amanda. Sharky's in the house. Who else is in here? William. My gosh, we got a good crowd tonight. My mama's in the house. Ashworth. You're getting a prize soon. Corey. Yeah, folks, whoever's in here chatting, you make this fun. And if you're not chatting, you're missing out. Jump in the chat. Throw some 2 cents in. Even if if I ever say something that's wrong, factually, like in left field, tell me. I want to know. I'll look it up too. I'll do my own research. I'll research it. I like to try to be going in the right direction. So if someone can point out where I'm off, please. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cardone. You are watching me live right now on YouTube. And this is episode 51 of Evening Hour. And I've had a blast. And I hope you guys did too. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I'm going to sign out and enjoy the rest of my Monday. And I'm going to start getting ready for Wednesday. I think we're going to have a fun one. And I'm excited to show you my squishy collection. So if anybody has squishies, I want to hear about them. Most of you would have kids that like these, not adults. But we're going to talk about these. And on Friday, yes, we're going to have a prize. A giveaway. Maybe it'll be a squishy. All right, folks, I'm going to take you out with my outro. And thank you. Party on.